Today we are going to be learning a new poem, and this poem is written by Kamala Das, who was born in Malabar, Kerala. She is one of India's most well-known poets, and her work displays her originality, versatility, and the feelings are portrayed very well. I'm going to start by giving you a brief introduction about this poem. This poem is titled My Mother at 66, as you can see on the screen in front of you. And it displays the writer's sensitivity towards human relationships and how the pain and agony that she feels towards her aging mother. Now, she also tells us through this poem that aging is a natural process and it will envelop one and all. In our young days, in our youth, we are so busy with the fulfillment of our own desires, but then at the same time, we forget that we have people who are elderly in our house and they too need our care and concern. So it somehow brings to light these issues that are not very often discussed. Now, in this poem, we see that at the beginning of the poem, the poet's visit to her mother's house has come to an end and now she has to go back. So she is driving in the car to Cochin and she sees her mother sleeping next to her. And while she's sleeping, she feels the sorrow when she looks at her mother and she sees her lifeless and she realizes that age is catching up with her. She somehow tries to, change the thoughts that she is getting in her mind, and she looks out towards the car window and then she finds beautiful trees whizzing past and she sees young children going out to play. So the imagery is again contrasted here. And then what happens is that, she feels sad and then she goes out towards the airport security check. And once the security check is completed, she once again looks at her mother's pale face and it looks very foggy and old and aged. Something that is compared to the winter moon. The winter moon, as we know, is dull and grey. It's not so bright. And while this is going on, the fear that she will lose her mother comes back to haunt her. And she realizes as a small child, a little child, if you see a child, the child is very, very hesitant to lose its parents and wants to be with them all the time. So if a child is separated, the child immediately starts crying. It displays emotions that he's not comfortable being away from the parents. But here the narrator, the poet, is an adult and she cannot tell this to her mother. So what does she do? She just tells her mother, "See you soon, Amma," and "see you soon." Actually, she does not know if her mother will live for that long, but she just tells this to her mother that she will see her soon. And that's how this poem ends. So there's a question mark at the end, but somehow the poet is adjusting to it. So now I'm going to read this poem and you listen to it. She says, "Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me, dozed, open-mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked, but soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their home. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked at her, worn pale as a late winter's moon, and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood fear. But all I said was, 'See you soon, Amma.' All I did was smile and smile and smile." Okay, now that we've read this poem once, we'll look at the words more closely. What did she say? Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday, I saw my mother beside me doze, open mouth, her face ashen like that of a corpse. Now here the technique in poetry that is used for comparison is known as a simile. So her face is like that of a corpse. A corpse is a dead body. And realized with pain. Now she realizes that realization that her mother's face is looking like a dead body, which is lifeless and dull and fading. But then what does she do? She looks away and looks out of the window. What does she see here? She sees merry children spilling out of their homes. So again, there is a contrast that is being used here. The contrast is as compared to the age of her mother, what does she see? Merry children spilling out of their homes. So there is again a change in this. So there is a technique of contrast that is being used here. You can see this. I will repeat it for your benefit, that the technique of contrast is used in this highlighted portion where she says her face is ashen like that of a corpse. There's a simile. Now we will change the page and we come to the next page where we find I looked at her again. Now there's an again. She looks back at her mother. What does she see her? Pale as a late winter's moon. Again, a simile is being used here. And felt that old familiar ache. So now she has felt this separation before from her mother and she is not pleased about it. So what does she feel? An old familiar ache. And her childhood fear returns to her, where she feels that she will be separated from her mother, and this time the separation will not be replaced with her meeting her again because death will take her over. So she says, all I said was, see you soon, Amma. She does not share her feelings with her mother. On the contrary, all she says is, all I did was smile and smile and smile. So here she talks about how she continues to smile, hiding her true feelings from her mother, and at the same time, the repetition of the word smile. The reason why this word is being used is to repeat and to show how she is trying to remove these thoughts from her mind. That means she does not want to share this with her mother. She just wants to let her go with the feeling that everything is all right. Sorry. So now as we see, the separation of a child from her parents is something that worries her, so much so that she is not able to accept it. So an old lady, a lady who is aged, is obviously something that parents, nobody wants to be separated from their parents. But this is the rule of life, unfortunately. And Kamla Das brings out these feelings very rightly in her poem because she is describing a trip to the airport in which she is talking about how she is separating from her mother and does not know if she will be seeing her again. She compares her mother like that of a corpse. That means a dead body is what she looks like. But then she distracts herself and looks out at these wonderful trees that are seen on the way she's driving. So these trees are again described. The imagery is young sprinting trees. So she sees the trees that are sprinting, then they are moving. So she gets the impression that this is how it is, and she wants to somehow distract herself. But then again, she sees these little children who are playing. Children are again active, they're full of energy, they're full of life, they're full of life and energy, and this is what children do. They're active as compared to the mother who is not moving around a lot. Again, she looks at her mother who is looking as pale as a late winter's moon. This is how winter nights are. Everything is very dull. The moon is not clear, as you can see in this photograph. So the clear beauty of the moon is hidden from us. And that's exactly what her mother is. Right now, she is at the last stage of her life, and that is why the poet feels that she will not be able to see her again. She doesn't know. But she tells her mother, she smiles and she smiles and she says, "See you soon, Amma. I will see you soon. I will be with you again." But that is something, maybe it is a false assurance for her. She doesn't know if she will be able to see her mother again. And so she just smiles and tells her mother that she is going. So obviously, it's a very difficult time. The moment of separation from a parent is something that she is not wanting to accept, even as an adult. However, she still has to accept it and does not share her true feelings with her mother. This is a very short poem, and you will get reference to context in this in your exams, and at the same time you will get short answers. I will be